Conor showed up with 20 to 30 goons and stormed the place.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most infamous scandals that have faced the Ultimate Fighting Championship throughout its history.
Ontario, the province in Canada, has banned betting on the UFC pending these investigations.
Number 10. Human cockfighting. Back in the early days of the UFC, it was a very different beast from what it is today, as it had a lot less regulation.
I want to take you to the UFC back in '93 when it first came on the scene. There was, groin punching, hair pulling, headbutting, all of that was allowed.
In 1996, 3 years after debuting, the promotion saw its rising reputation take a severe beating from the then US Senator John McCain. After seeing a UFC tape and believing it to be barbaric, McCain sent letters to 50 governors rallying for the promotion's ban.
There was no referee, there was nothing. It was terrible.
Within it, he called the sport human cockfighting, a title that's never left UFC. 36 states agreed with McCain's assessment and prohibited no-holds-barred fighting, forcing the promotion to move UFC 12 from New York to Alabama. It got worse when McCain oversaw the cable industry, causing UFC to implement additional safety rules.
So they've changed their rules. I approve of them now. I don't enjoy it as much as I do regular boxing because that's what I grew up with.
Number 9. The 2015 match-fixing scandal. Unfortunately, combat sports and match-fixing has a long problematic history.
We caught wind of that thing. There was talk about it.
However, not many have been as dreadful an attempt as Taeyeon Bang's in 2015. For UFC Fight Night Henderson vs. Masvidal, Bang faced Leo Kuntz in a lightweight preliminary bout. However, leading into the event, UFC informed the fighters that they knew of a significant shift in betting odds and warned them against fixing the outcome. After the bout, Bang ended up winning with a split decision. However, he wasn't meant to win. Instead, working with 3 brokers, the South Korean was bribed with a little over $92,000 to throw it, which he proceeded to bet half of on Kuntz winning. Oops. In 2017, Bang was sentenced to 10 months in jail.
He didn't do it. He took the money, but didn't fix the fight. And he got 10 months in jail.
Number 8. UFC 151's cancellation. In 2012, an unprecedented incident happened in UFC's history, leading into UFC 151. The top fight featured reigning light heavyweight champion Jon Jones defending his title against Dan Henderson.
I really feel as if I'm always a step ahead of the competition because of how seriously I take the sport.
Dan Henderson will definitely be a big test for Jon Jones.
However, a little over a week before the event, UFC President Dana White announced that due to Henderson having a partially ruptured MCL, the pay-per-view was cancelled. White explained that the UFC offered Jones to fight Chael Sonnen in Henderson's place.
No fighter has ever turned down a fight, and this is the first ever UFC that's ever had to be canceled.
However, the champ rejected the proposition due to only having 8 days to prepare. Instead, 21 days after UFC 151 was meant to air, UFC 152 took place, where Jones successfully defended his title against Vitor Belfort.
The undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, Johnny Bones Jones!
He remains the champion!
Number 7. UFC 199's journalists ban. In 2016, Ariel Helwani and 2 of his MMA fighting colleagues were getting ready to see the main event at UFC 199.
March of 2016, they asked Fox to let me go, and Fox obliged, and that kind of really that was the dissolving of the relationship.
However, instead of watching Michael Bisping win the middleweight championship from Luke Rockhold, the 3 journalists were escorted from the building by officials. UFC was livid that Helwani had broken the news of Brock Lesnar's return to UFC 200 before the promotion could at UFC 199.
I was banned from the UFC for 48 hours. Banned for 48 hours. I was escorted out of the building for 48 hours.
Dana White announced that Helwani would be banned for as long as he was there. Well, after many journalists and even UFC fighters condemned the company's action, Helwani was reinstated 2 days later. This also caused the creation of the Mixed Martial Arts Journalists Association, of which Helwani was a board member.
Are you upset that your relationship with the UFC and Dana White has unfolded the way it has?
I wish it was better, 100%. 100%. Because I don't think that I don't think that the I don't think what I did was worth any of this.
Number 6, Scalegate. Out of all the ways possible for a UFC fighter to lose their title in 2022, Charles Oliveira became the first to drop his in this bizarre way.
Se 274, eu vou aumentar meu legado. Sou campeão, isso vai ficar durante muito tempo. Eu vou levar uma guerra.
At UFC 274, he was set to defend his lightweight championship against Justin Gaethje. However, during the official weigh-in, Oliveira came in at 155.5 pounds, half a pound over the lightweight limit. Despite this minuscule amount, he was stripped of the title.
Charles Oliveira has missed weight and will vacate the UFC Lightweight Championship once tomorrow's fight begins.
Regardless, Oliveira went on to beat Gaethje at the event as the championship was vacated. However, the UFC was heavily criticized for the decision, which many believed was harsh, and for not using more reliable digital scales when the balanced ones need to be calibrated and can give false readings due to human error.
Charles DuBois
Number 5, Randy Couture quits. After making his return to competition in the UFC after retiring in 2006, Couture quickly established why he's one of the greatest in the Octagon when the Hall of Famer took back the heavyweight championship.
This place is deafening!
He should have been the face of the company. Instead, he became its biggest problem. In 2007, the UFC and Couture had a massive falling out, causing the latter to publicly state he was quitting the promotion as a fighter and analyst.
UFC heavyweight champion Randy the Natural Couture has suddenly resigned from the organization.
After making it clear he wasn't retiring, Couture also divulged that he was disenchanted with the UFC and its pay. The UFC refused to release the Natural from his contracted 2 fights, kicking off a lawsuit against him. However, Couture agreed to a new 3-fight deal in 2008.
What's your relationship with the UFC right now?
I don't have one. Yeah, I've been exiled or I've been persona non grata with the UFC, mostly because Dana just doesn't really care for me.
Number 4, the many problems of Jon Jones. When looking at the greatest to step into the Octagon, Jones would be up there.
Jon Jones has regained the throne!
Yet, as great as he is as a fighter, he also attracts many controversies. For starters, he's been suspended and stripped of titles by the UFC multiple times for testing positive for banned substances.
It is important to note that under the UFC anti-doping policy, there's a full, fair, legal review process that is afforded to all athletes before any sanctions are imposed.
Yet away from competition, he's also been in a lot of legal trouble. In 2015, shortly before he was set to defend his light heavyweight championship against Anthony Johnson, at UFC 187, Jones was arrested for a hit and run. As well as having his title vacated and getting banned by the UFC, he received 18 months of probation, alongside several driving while intoxicated incidents. He's also been arrested for assault and domestic violence multiple times.
Just started making a lot of dumb decisions, and it led to my fall.
Number 3, the Sobral scandal. In 2007, fan favorite Renato Babalu Sobral faced David Heath at UFC 74 in a preliminary match.
David Heath against Babalu in what truly is the most pivotal bout in Babalu's 8-year career.
The Brazilian soon took control of the bout, eventually securing an anaconda choke. While Heath tapped out, Sobral wouldn't let go, even ignoring the ref's attempts to pull him off as his opponent lost consciousness. Post-fight, with the crowd now avidly against him, Sobral admitted he knew Heath tapped, but, quote, he had to learn respect.
So what you're saying is that you put him to sleep on purpose even though you knew that he tapped?
Yes, he has to know. He has to learn respect.
Unsurprisingly, Babalu was dropped by the UFC soon after. Rousimar Pelleas did something similar in 2013 at UFC Fight Night Maia vs. Shields. He held on to the heel hook long after Mike Pierce had submitted, resulting in Pelleas' release from the promotion afterward.
There's really nowhere to put this in words. All I can say is that I have to thank God. I have to thank everybody that helps me. Everybody knows what I go through to get here, and I have to really thank God.
Number 2, Conor McGregor and team's bus attack. While 2018's UFC 223 was a mess on the card due to Khabib Nurmagomedov's opponent changing multiple times before Aliaquinta stepped up, it was the actions behind the scenes that caused more damage to the company.
Oh man, I don't even know. It just happened so fast, you know. I heard Max was out and I said, I'm in, let's go.
After feuding with Nurmagomedov due to the Russian slapping McGregor's friend Artem Lobov, the Irishman and his entourage attacked a bus he was on backstage, all of which was captured on camera.
They threw a chair through our window of our bus and we're stuck at the Barclay Arena.
McGregor even threw a dolly through the window, sending glass inside that injured others on board, including Ray Borg and Michael Chiesa, resulting in them pulling out of UFC 223. McGregor was charged with the attack and was sentenced to complete 5 days of community service and attend anger management classes.
Because if that bus door had have opened, this man would be dead right now. He would be in a box and I would be in a cell, and we would not have this great fight ahead of us.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The James Krause betting scandal. In 2022, Derek Minner, who was coached by Krause, was set to face Shaylan Nuremberger at UFC Fight Night Rodriguez vs. Lemos. However, hours before the event, mass bets for Nuremberger to win in the first round came in. As the bout got underway, it was clear that Minner was fighting with an injured leg, resulting in Nuremberger winning via TKO.
Your winner by TKO, Shaylan, the Wolverine Nuremberger!
It was then discovered that Minner had an undisclosed injury, leading to the belief that Krause had bet against his fighter with this knowledge. As betting was suspended against any fight Krause was involved with, and UFC in general, the promotion banned any fighters working for him.
This is a shift to a much larger picture. This is a shift to something much more significant, where now gambling regulators are looking at UFC and UFC fights and saying, we do not trust that fight fixing can be prevented.
The company also changed the rules to prohibit fighters and those closely connected from betting on UFC matches. What other UFC scandal did we miss from our list? Let us know in those comments below.
I never stepped out and bashed anybody. I simply stated my feelings and why I was resigning.